In this video, I want to talk about a different kind of problem that's still related to the problem statement, but it's not the issue of whether there's a gap so much, but rather, is your topic too broad that it's unwieldy or too narrow so that no one would care? And so you've got to have a topic that's in between there. It can't be so big that thousands of articles and books have been written about it and you're not able to bring anything new to it. So you've got to find a way to boil it down to something that's manageable. I've used the example in the past of my study. I started out wanting to study character education. And then I realized this has been looked at for thousands of years. Thousands of articles have been written about it and books written about it. And how am I going to bring anything new to that? How am I going to boil that down into a project that would be suitable for original research? But at the time, there was a hot item in the news on bullying. A lot of articles every week. There was something else on bullying. And so I was able to combine all the work I'd already done with this new topic of bullying, thinking that if bullying is going on, then that's an evident lack of appropriate character education, and schools need to look at that. So I was able to tie them together, not lose everything I'd done, but I had to make this more narrow than where I started. Now, a lot of times students will confuse the setting and participants with the topic itself. You can have a fairly narrow setting. I looked at bullying in one Christian school. You can do a phenomenological study with 10 to 20 participants in one location. So there's nothing wrong with that if that's the appropriate methodology to study your particular problem. But you need to have a topic that's not so broad that there's just no way you can cover it and it will take you forever, but also not so narrow that nobody cares. So if you're looking at trying to solve a specific issue in your workplace or in your school, and that becomes your topic, we don't know why people in the school do this, then you're going to have a problem because who's going to care? It will lack significance. So maybe narrow, but there's no importance to it. So you're looking for that sweet spot, and there's a couple ways you can find that sweet spot. One is by doing a search of the various databases, and you can indicate that right in your literature review. These are the steps I took. This is what I did to find this. Or it can go in the chapter 1 as well. I searched for bullying, and I found tens of thousands of articles, and then I searched for Christian schools, and I found lots of articles. But when I looked for something with bullying and Christian schools in it, there was nothing. And so I knew I had something that was going to be important to everybody who worked in Christian education, but nobody else had looked at. Bingo. Then you got a topic worth pursuing. Okay? The other thing that has to fit into this is there has to be some theoretical justification for this. Why would I even think that bullying would be different in a Christian school than in public schools? It's already been studied. So what do I think is going to be different? Well, social identity theory specifically states that when people are in an environment with other people, they tend to conform their behavior to the behavior of the group. That's the norm. They want to be accepted and liked and do what other people are doing. So I had a theory that said it should be different. I had a group that hadn't been looked at, so the whole thing made sense, and now I had a project that I could sink my teeth into that was not too broad or too narrow. Now, the second way that you can locate a topic that is worth researching is a reference in an article. Sometimes at the end of articles, they'll have a section that talks about further research, and they'll specifically mention some area that hasn't been looked at. Somebody should look into this. We don't know this. It'll give you a good problem and an area that's worth investigating. So if you have that specific reference and it's in current literature, it needs to be fairly recent, because if it's 10 years old, somebody may have already studied it. But then you can refer to that and say, hey, these individuals are saying this is an area that needs to be investigated. So that's another great way to find a good topic. So again, too broad, and you just won't get through. It's unwieldy. Too narrow, nobody will care. You'll lack significance. But it also has to be based on theory. The theory should suggest something that you're going to find. The theory should say something that will probably explain what it is you're going to investigate. It has to make sense to do this study in light of what this theory says. Okay, so you need all of those pieces together to have a good problem. Hope that helps.